Beep boop, welcome. Today we're doing something a little bit different. So on the last video, a lot of you have suggested to use Shivering Contagion on a companion instead. And while you guys suggested various different companions and weapons, I ended up going with Taxon and the Artax. Because, well, everyone has Taxon. He's essentially the starter sentinel, and you get him by finishing the Earth to Venus junction. Now, despite Taxon being a starter sentinel, its stats are actually not terrible. 560 health, 250 shields, 80 armor, and a 60-second recovery time. That's pretty good. Additionally, its weapon, the Artax, isn't too shabby at all. It does do very little damage, which is pure cold, and it has no crit chance, but it has high 35% status chance, high fire rate, big magazine, and a fast reload. So let us give the Shivering Taxon setup a shot and see if it's any good, shall we? I almost never run Sentinel, so this is gonna be interesting. This is actually kind of a noob trap. People think you don't need to mod for cold, but 20% is not enough. That is never going to proc. The actual Taxon setup is going to change depending on what you want from it. We're probably not going to run Fiber, the armor is quite low, but Redirection is probably going to be good. Animal Instinct is non-negotiable for me, I need my radar. So you want some tanky mods, you want Vacuum, obviously, then some kind of an attack preset like Assault Mode. What's Retarget? Why do you have... Oh, this one's generic, okay. So you want an Assault mod, so that the Sentinel attacks, Vacuum so that it vacuums, and then some tank so that it doesn't die. Outside of that, at least for a priming Sentinel, Momentous Bond is really good because you can trigger the bonus when you kill the Eximus as well. It doesn't have to be the Sentinel. And I actually think that's gonna be it. I can't think of another Bond mod that I would really want here. This is probably very stupid. I'm gonna put in Fire Dab just so you can see what happens when you mix the cold into something else. Sure, regen, why not? Shivering Contagion, Whapam. These aren't entirely necessary because of Momentous Bonds, but it's nice to always have some elements to prime the enemies with. Definitely want Corrosive for the armor strip as well. I'm just gonna put in Rhyme Rounds for now, but we do have Fired Up, so that's gonna combine with the cold into Blast. Rifle Aptitude for now, and we're gonna top it off with Multi-Shot, but we need more Forma for that. It's right here is why you actually want to mod for cold. Because, yes, you do have that trait, but 20% is just not enough. It's gonna get overpowered by all the other elemental status effects, especially once Momentous Bond kicks in. So if we wanted to reliably proc cold, we're gonna have to mod for it. So let's get rid of that, and bam, frozen. Massive difference, as you can see. This is why you want to mod for cold. The trait, very, very cool, but again, 20%, not enough. People are right though, this is dope. It's like having a little baby frost on your shoulder at all times. Split Chamber is gonna make this even better, though unfortunately, I've just realized we're gonna need 2 Forma for it, which is, yeah, that's not great. For now, we're just gonna run it 1 rank from the top. We're gonna lose a little bit of status, but that's fine. I'm just lost, I have no idea what to put on this damn thing. Okay, I guess. Some shield recharge, not bad. Not as much AoE or coverage as you would have with like a Hound, but it is considerably more reliable. Hounds gotta do whatever they want, and it can sometimes be difficult to make them prime the target you actually want primed, whereas this just primes the closest thing to you. Let's sprinkle in a handful of Eximus units, mow a few of them down, and now... I said, and now... There we go. Yay! Priming more stuff. Very good. Still proccing more than enough cold, even with Momentous Bond. Fantastic. Here's the first real test though, can it survive a full-on melee mission? Because if it's always dead, then, you know, it's no good, and I'm a big melee player. Okay, so not only is it surviving, it is doing so fabulously. I don't think it took any damage yet, so that is very good. Also, I am kind of liking the reliable priming, not gonna lie. I am loving the almost instantaneous freeze. Also, I specifically chose a melee weapon that utilizes condition overload, so that priming would be noticeable. I'm not really seeing much of a difference. Yes, Harold primes a little bit better because he just carpet bombs the entire tile set, but it's not bad. I am very pleasantly surprised. Say hello to little baby Frost, Malise. Up, hiya! Sit down, Malise. Good boy. So range is not a problem at all. This was another thing I was a little bit worried about, because in melee it doesn't matter, but when you pick up a gun, beam weapons tend to have relatively short range, but the Artax I think is like 25 meters, something like that, and that seems to be enough. At least in this style set it is. So don't tell Harold please, but this genuinely feels a lot better, at least in an Exterminate. I very much appreciate the carpet bombing in like a survival or anything, but in an Exterminate, Hounds are not very good for priming, whereas this is just on point at all times. Yeah, I'm definitely keeping this. This is a very nice setup. Okay, let's top it all off. Can't leave split chamber. One rank from the top. I guess we just put in a dash for contagion because I'm sure as hell not taking that out. And we can finally run split chamber. Yay. I see you on the radar. You can't hide from me. Where is... Cat and mouse. There we go. Oh my god, that was funny. This is one thing I adore about Warframe. Not just the Sentinels, but like a lot of gear, a lot of starter gear, like Excalibur, for example, or even some weapons, are very, very good when you invest into them. And that just, to me at least, feels great, because you can pick something up and then invest into it over time, and you will get very good returns from it. So, first of all, we have the Taxon setup. This is gonna vary from person to person because it depends on what kind of frames you're running, what you want the Sentinel to do, that kind of stuff. So you need to decide what you want here and put it on. I use mostly health-based frames, so I have Meditate here for the heal. I want to have radar, so I have Animal Instinct. I need vacuum, because what kind of a maniac would play this game without it? And I want the pet to prime enemies, which is why I run Momentous Bond. Everything else is there just to give it as much uptime as possible, so a bunch of tanky mods so that it's hard to kill, and if it does die, a bunch of regen mods to recover it faster. I also, as you may have noticed, don't use its signature precept, because I rarely play frames with shields. Now onto the real star of the show, the Artax. Here we have High Voltage and Malignant Force for corrosive damage and status chance, Rhyme Rounds, which might seem weird especially because this has a trait that makes it always do a little bit of cold damage, but the problem is, if you don't have enough cold, you for example just rely on the trait, the chance to proc cold is going to be minuscule because the amount of cold damage the weapon is doing is just too small. But if you put on Rhyme Rounds and actually bolster the cold damage to be the highest damage type, it will always proc cold even once the pet gets a bunch of extra random damage from Momentous Bond. But anyway, next on the menu we have Split Chamber for multi-shot. Then there is Shivering Contagion, which will take those very prominent cold effects and spread them around. Radiated Reload for radiation damage and reload speed, Magnetic Capacity for the magnetic damage, and we top it all off with the Rifle Attitude for status. I, as mentioned already, almost never run Sentinels. I think I'm still used to them being the squishy little thing that dies almost instantly and then you have nothing for the rest of the mission, but that's no longer the case. Sentinels are very viable companions, as can very clearly be seen right here. This is an absolutely tremendous setup for both melee and gunplay. It primes very well, you can put a lot of utility on it, and it freezes everything the beam touches. So yeah, this is an absolutely tremendous setup, fantastic suggestion, and I highly recommend you give it a shot. And as always guys, I thank you very much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Then I would also like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much guys, I really appreciate your support, it means a lot to me. And I'll see you next time, bye bye.